Something is shifting on the world stage, and it could redefine the global balance of power. In Beijing, a summit is taking place that Washington cannot afford to ignore. China is hosting the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit, with leaders like Vladimir Putin and Narendra Modi expected to attend. But this is not just another diplomatic gathering. It's being presented as a direct counterweight to America's global order. Welcome to Shadows of Strategy, where we decode the moves that shape our world. Today, we explore how Xi Jinping's SCO Summit is emerging as a rival bloc to U.S. influence, and why the world is watching closely. At its core, the SCO was founded in 2001 as a regional security grouping between China, Russia, and Central Asian states. Over the years, it expanded to include India, Pakistan, and more recently, Iran. That expansion alone signals ambition. The SCO is no longer just about regional cooperation. It is presenting itself as an alternative pole to the US-led alliances that dominate global geopolitics. And with Beijing hosting the summit, Xi is using this moment to showcase what looks like a new power bloc. One that spans from East Asia to Europe, encompassing nuclear powers, vast energy reserves, and nearly half the world's population. The timing of this summit is critical. The United States has been strengthening alliances across the Indo-Pacific, from QAD exercises with Japan, Australia, and India, to AUKUS military pacts, to bolstering ties with the Philippines and South Korea. At the same time, Washington has doubled down on NATO unity in Europe against Russia. In other words, the US is working to tighten its global web of allies. Xi's summit is Beijing's answer to that strategy, demonstrating that America does not have uncontested dominance, and that alternative centers of power can be built. Russia's presence at the summit is especially telling. Vladimir Putin, isolated in the West due to the war in Ukraine, finds a platform where he is not shunned, but welcomed. Moscow uses the SCO to show it still matters, and that it has powerful partners willing to stand alongside it. For Xi, Putin's participation serves a dual purpose, reinforcing the no-limits partnership with Russia, and signaling that US sanctions cannot erase Moscow's role in global politics. India's presence complicates the picture. As a member of both the SCO and the Quad, New Delhi straddles two worlds, engaging with Washington while still keeping ties with Moscow and Beijing. Modi's attendance at the SCO Summit demonstrates India's balancing act, a reminder that New Delhi values its autonomy in a polarized world. For the US, this is both reassuring and concerning. India remains a partner, but it is not fully aligned, and China is using the SCO stage to highlight that gap. Iran's participation adds yet another dimension. With Tehran formally joining the SCO, the bloc extends its reach into the Middle East. This strengthens an anti-US narrative, especially as Washington continues to back Israel and maintain military presence in the Gulf. For Xi, having Iran under the SCO umbrella means expanding influence into an oil-rich and strategically vital region. For Washington, it's a troubling sign of growing Chinese outreach in a region once firmly dominated by US power. Beyond the symbolism, the SCO Summit is pushing initiatives that directly challenge the US-led system. Talks of moving away from the US dollar in energy trade, proposals for joint military exercises, and discussions of new financial mechanisms are on the table. These steps may not overthrow the dollar tomorrow, but they reflect a clear trajectory, building alternative institutions that reduce dependency on the West. The optics of the summit matter just as much as its declarations. Flags of member nations standing side by side in Beijing, leaders shaking hands, and headlines declaring a united front. All of this is designed to send a message. The US is not the only game in town. For audiences across Africa, Latin America, and Southeast Asia, regions often courted by both Washington and Beijing, the SCO presents itself as a symbol of multipolarity, of choice beyond the West. But how effective is this bloc in reality? Unlike NATO, the SCO does not have a binding mutual defense clause. Its members often disagree. India and China face border tensions. Russia and some Central Asian states have conflicting interests, and Iran's inclusion could bring friction with others. The lack of coherence is its weakness. Yet, even with those differences, the SCO demonstrates something powerful. That Washington's narrative of a world neatly divided between democracies and autocracies is not fully embraced. Many countries are hedging, playing both sides, or outright siding with Beijing's call for a multipolar order. For the United States, the challenge is clear. The SCO may not yet be an alliance capable of collective military action, but it represents a political challenge to American primacy. It appeals to nations weary of U.S. sanctions, frustrated by Western dominance of global institutions, or eager for infrastructure investments through China's Belt and Road Initiative. In short, it offers an alternative. And alternatives, even imperfect ones, erode U.S. leverage. What does this mean moving forward? For Washington, the response may come in two forms. First, doubling down on its web of alliances, expanding military cooperation in the Indo-Pacific, deepening ties with ASEAN, and strengthening NATO solidarity. Second, offering positive incentives, trade deals, infrastructure financing, and diplomatic outreach to keep partners from drifting toward Beijing's orbit. The question is whether the U.S. can act quickly and convincingly enough. For China, the SCO Summit is both theater and strategy. It showcases Xi as a global leader, not just a regional one. It cements partnerships with Moscow and Tehran. And it puts pressure on Washington, demonstrating that America faces coordinated challenges on multiple fronts. Even if the SCO is loose and sometimes contradictory, its very existence shows that the US-led world order is not unchallenged. For Russia, it is survival and relevance. For India, it is balance and flexibility. For Iran, it is recognition and legitimacy. For smaller members like Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, it is insurance against being trapped in either Washington's or Moscow's shadow. And for China, it is leverage. The power to say to the world, we are building something bigger than America's alliances. This is why the SCO Summit matters. It may not spark immediate confrontations, but it signals the direction the world is heading. Toward a fragmented multipolar system where the US must compete harder to maintain influence. The drama unfolding in Beijing is not just about leaders at a table, it's about the future architecture of global power. And as America watches closely, so too should the world.